Hello again, everybody. You're listening to the Total Bases podcast here at the Baseball Live Facebook group. Special time today as Sean had a previous arrangement to make to go through today, but we make adjustments. Just like it's like baseball, right? It's a game of adjustments. We adjust accordingly. So we are here at a special time in the middle of NFL Sunday, but that's okay. I just you want some baseball talk? I know a lot. You know what it is, Sean? People were complaining that you got a little bit feisty this past week as the crossover political and baseball posts were running rampant. The memes, I should say, the memes.
The memes.
So, hey, you want baseball talk? Here it is. Come join us and talk about some baseball with us today. Sean, tell the people how you're doing today.
I am awesome. Like you said, meeting at a slightly later time, had a good friend from school get married, went out into the good old farmlands, and there were cows mooing during the ceremony. So a good old Alabama wedding. But it was lots of fun, friends, family, fun. They all go together. Just like baseball. Baseball is fun, kind of.
Beer, champagne, all of that. Yeah, champagne when you're celebrating your divisional wins or your playoff series. Hey, thoughts on that? Do you like it when baseball players teams celebrate like each round that they win?
I like the only time that they should celebrate with champagne is when they clinch a playoff spot. If you win the playoffs, I feel like maybe winning the pennant, but like if you win the divisional round, like what are you celebrating? All you did was make it to the next round. Like, come on now. I always thought the divisional round celebration was weird. Championship series, I kind of get because you're winning a pennant.
Yeah.
But the division series never made sense to me.
I kind of like it. It's very unique to the sport. I know, when I was adminning a hockey group back in the day, I know they hated it. Why can't they be like hockey players and just celebrate with a Stanley Cup? Like, okay, guy, we don't have a Stanley Cup here in baseball, but whatever. But it's they're right. They don't do that with the NFL. They don't do that with the NBA. But Major League Baseball playoffs, it's a special time, and I think it's awesome. That's just my personal opinion. But that's why, because I'm talking about champagne, right? And you were probably drinking champagne. I know I drank some champagne last night as I did celebrate my 5th year wedding anniversary with the wife.
Hey, congratulations.
Champagne, it's a champagne kind of weekend. And of course, the University of Illinois is down in Champaign, Illinois. Anyway, I'd like to start the show off with something we didn't get a chance to talk about when it happened last week. But although I think Alex Cora, is that official that he's now the manager of your Boston Red Sox?
My Boston Red Sox, no.
Well, the Universal U, sorry.
I believe the announcement was supposed to be made or already has been made or will be made this upcoming week. It was kind of leaked before officially being named, but it's all over. But it's all over. He's back.
He's back. Suspension, and the fact that AJ Hinch got hired, as we touched upon it with our guest Trevor, who is a Tigers fan, and it just goes back to what we were talking about way back when all this was coming down the hatchet with Major League Baseball and AJ Hinch and Alex Cora. A lot of I remember you and I talking about it, and we basically said they'll get rehired.
Yeah, I believe the reason Cora was brought back by his team is could be labeled conspiracy. I thought he told them. I think he didn't tell them everything. But I am sure, especially the fact that they kind of instituted their own kind of cheating issue in Boston. I think he told them, and I think he knew that way, if it continued, would get caught onto. And that's why they kind of developed something else. I'm not sure how much he told them, but I'm pretty sure he told them something was hinky up in Houston. Houston, I guess we'll have to call them that from now on. And I think that's why Boston was so quick to bring him back. I believe there was some transparency there, dating back to when he first came back.
Yeah, but there might be some truth to that. I mean, it makes sense. But I think the thing here is that it's about winning.
Yeah.
It's about winning. It's you play to win the game, like Herman Edwards used to say. For as much as teams like, the smart thing to do is to tank and not spend so much money. At the end of the day, it's about winning. Nobody wants to root for a loser forever. I'm a Cubs fan. I mean, I guess we're the exemption, but because we pack the stadium every year, or that's more touristy. It's a tourist destination, so that's part of it as well. But for everybody else, nobody wants to root for a loser. And Major League Baseball is so desperate for these teams, for these individual teams to field a winner, that they don't care what you did in the past. It's like the old Al Davis thing. Just win, baby. That's all it is. So, and it goes back to what I complained about earlier last month about the moral high ground that many people are taking with this. Guess what? Major League Baseball heard your moral high ground and they told you to shove it, because they went in. I mean, seriously, they went in and hired the two guys who were blamed, the scapegoat. Like I told you before,
the people that were named
scapegoats.
Which is also something I want to get back to, but continue.
Well, I was going to say the scapegoats got the blame, and now they're back. Hinch is back with the Tigers. Well, he's not with the Astros anymore, but he went to the Tigers, and Cora is back with the Red Sox with, the suspension. Yeah, they were just waiting for him to come back, serve his time, serve his punishment. They obviously like him enough, to hire him the first time around, and they won a championship with him, and now he's back. And the last thing I want to do, I want to say about that is that, the only reason that Hinch didn't get rehired by the Astros is because, what's that word they always use in college football? Institutional lack of control or whatever.
Yeah.
They also brought in Dusty Baker, who you saw those players and how pissed off a lot of Major League Baseball fans were at Carlos Correa and Jose Altuve, because there was no sorrow. Alex Bregman, no sorrow, just, what do you call it? Just doubling down that they didn't do anything, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess where that comes from? That's Dusty Baker, man. That is Dusty Baker 101. The Astros didn't get Dusty Baker because he's a veteran manager and because he would be the veteran manager that would get them through this murky road that they're in. They got Dusty Baker because he's notorious for being a yes man to the players. He will tell the players whatever they want to hear. And we talked about it last in the playoffs, Sean. At the end of the day, they made it farther than all these other supposed clean teams, including the Yankees, who are, whether you want to admit or whether we want to believe their rumors that are spreading about them as well. But Astros were back in the ALCS, and for all the reasons that we talked about on this show over and over again. And that's it. That's my little rant. It's about winning by any means necessary. And like I told people way back in the winter, you will see that this will be looked upon as some sort of mockery in the future. And in the future, it's going to be like the NFL, Sean. It's going to be like there's going to be an intelligence team doing live games, trying to look at signals and trying to, one up people schematically. And it's going to be sponsored by Microsoft because, you can't have all this technology without a sponsor. And that's going to be the future of baseball. By the way, your as the kids would say, your eyebrows are on fleek, man. There's something about you.
I feel like one got singed off and like we were standing by a fire. I don't know. They just look very thin right now. So maybe they got burned off around the bonfire. I don't know.
I'm looking at you. I'm like, there's something different about this guy. You're clean shaven. I got wedding. Yeah. You did your eyebrows too. Meanwhile, you got me who looks like Grizzly Adams over here. So you were going to say something. Go ahead, Sean. You were going to say something.
I was mainly going to say that with the third, like you mentioned, the scapegoats, there's a third person, the third and final person who was named in the Manfred report, who was hired to be a manager and is now not a manager and probably won't be a manager this year. And that's Carlos Beltran. And what does the future hold for him? That is a very interesting thing that the other two who at the time were coaches, not players. Beltran was a player and he was the only one named in said report. And at the time, he was slated to become the Mets manager. And unlike the other two who were proven they had won championships with their clubs, I'm not sure if Beltran's going to get a chance anytime soon. I think he was someone, and it was a reason why he was kind of involved and named in the Manfred report. He was respected and revered by just about every player in the league, especially some of his players from Latin America, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. I mean, these guys looked up to him as like the boss, the Don. He was the Don, and that nobody was going to question him. If Carlos Beltran's cheating, I guess that's what I got to do to stay in the game. And I think his denials, he was asked multiple times at the winter meetings once the Athletic broke the story, and he said, I don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to have to actually read it and look at it. And it was just denial after denial. And I think that loses him a lot of credibility with the players. And that goes back to Alex Cora. Alex Cora, I'm sure, has lost credibility. But if he was transparent with the Red Sox and their players the first time around, then they weren't shocked by the news. And he didn't try to lie and say, oh, I don't know what they're talking about. They must just be making it up. So I think there is slightly different circumstances for Beltran. And that's not just, he was a player and they were coaches, but the fact he was such a revered figure and then tried to cover his own self in the aftermath of everything.
And I just want to piggyback, and then we'll move on to the next subject. A couple of things that you mentioned about Alex Cora being transparent, but wasn't he also accused of the same thing in 2018 when they won a World Series championship?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that.
And that's why they probably did something to that effect.
Yeah. So all right. You got us a championship. Now try to do it clean, and we can get on our own redemption tour, just like we got on our redemption tour. By the way, we went undefeated on a redemption tour. No, but everybody was there when we were wrong, but nobody's talking when we're all 100% right. Like literally 100% right in our redemption brackets. So yeah, stick around, kids. You might learn something from us. And then the second thing I wanted to mention was that you talked about right now was the Carlos Beltran, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, if he's doing it, I got to find a way to stick around. If that's the way to do it, then it's a tale as old as time, right? What did we say last month when this was all going down? I said this was a game of cheaters. The history of the game itself is cheating. And the only people that get ostracized are the ones who get caught.
Yep.
This is the same nonsense we heard back in the 90s. Oh, well, everybody was injecting themselves with PEDs and steroids, so that must be the way to do it. So, monkey see, monkey do kind of effect here, isn't it?
Yes, for sure.
All right. Let's move on. We wanted to
Manager rant over.
Manager rant over, yeah. We are here to give out some awards. Not that they have any bearing to anybody, but we have a podcast. We might as well give out some total basis podcast awards. You know what? Shame on us. We didn't come up with a name. I was thinking like the golden base, but then I think about base and I think about drugs. So maybe not.
We don't want to be freebasing off of golden bases.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting it. But you let me know if you can see my screen or not. But I do, as always, spreadsheets galore around this show because that's how I manage. That's how I work. And we're gonna go through the gamut, man. We got a bunch of spreadsheets that we got to show off today. And what better way to do it than here? It's not showing up on my little phone here.
It is up now.
It is up now?
Yes.
Okay, so I might be really delayed. But anyway, we're going to start out with the best overall fielders, right? So what I did was I went into the Fangraphs page and just did defensive runs saved and ultimate zone rating, ranked them 1 through 10. If you're in first place, you got 10 points. If you're in second place, you get 9 points, so on and so forth. If you're 10th place, you get 1 point. So ultimately, there's no doubt, Nolan Arenado, best fielder according to these metrics, because I know you're probably going to tell me something else. He's the best, not just the best third baseman, but also the best fielding defensive player in the game in the year 2020.
Yeah.
Getting first in both DRS and UZR rankings. And again, these are the Fangraphs. This is what they use in Fangraphs to measure a player's defensive prowess here. And Arenado, once again, reigns supreme. And you got 3 outfielders that follow up, but that's not important. It's mostly outfielders because they cover the most ground, right? They are probably the most plays go to them in terms of the measurements of these advanced metrics. So Gold Gloves, I got Gold Gloves. I figure I might as well do it. I got Tucker Barnhart at my catching position. Get yourself a Gold Glove from me. Jose Abreu just etched out Evan White for that award at the first base position. Cesar Hernandez at second base. Dansby Swanson at short. Nolan Arenado at third base. Joey Gallo, Kevin Kiermeier, and Mookie Betts are my outfield. For the infields, I did something completely different. I don't want to get too deep into it, but these are, that's my, I wanted to talk about this as well, but we'll get to it in a bit. But here on this other sheet is my defensive infielder range. And I did it just by range, Sean.
Yes.
So the DRS range and the UZR range, each one of those had their own way to measure range. And ultimately, again, Arenado number 1. And there's my second baseman, my shortstop, Dansby Swanson, and Jose Abreu at my first base. This is a total basis podcast host selection right there. So I went that route. And a defensive outfielder, I just wanted to point out that before the White Sox fans get after me, yes, Luis Robert showed with both the UZR and DRS metrics for range, showed that he had the best range of all the outfielders out there in 2020. Like we always joke around here, Sean, it's, he better have, because he's not only manning center field, but he's manning left field and right field. And lastly, before I turn it over to you, because I think you got something for me, that's the best arm. Again, defensive run saves and ultimate zone rating, they have their own way to measure like arm strength, not arm strength, how good
efficiency, kind of efficiency.
And surprisingly, Kevin Kiermeier, who is known more for his range than anything, ranks really high in terms of his arm.
Yeah, Kiermeier has, ever since he was initially called up, I remember his initial call-up was very much like Juan Lagares. I don't think people really knew who Kevin Kiermeier was, just like they didn't know who Juan Lagares was. And they decided, hey, he's this new minor guy, fresh out of the minor leagues, green and wet behind the ears. Let's run on him. And Kevin Kiermeier, since he stepped into the league day one, has been gunning guys down. And it's technically why he has the nickname Outlaws, because he's got a gun for an arm. And he's great. He's always going to be great. The fact I don't think he won the Gold Glove this year is kind of sad, but, Gold Glove to me has always been more of a, what do we call it? Popularity contest and highlight reel contest than an actual fielding contest.
I mean, shoot, at one point they were giving away Gold Gloves back
to Rafael Palmeiro. Palmeiro won a Gold Glove.
When in doubt, give it to the guy with the big offensive numbers. Exactly. So I honestly don't know who won the actual Gold Gloves. I just know that this would be my selection right here on this table. So who do you have as your? Do you have a list for me for Gold Glove?
I don't have a list per se. I do think they got some right, some wrong, as they always do. I think there are some interesting Gold Glove competitions to look forward to in the future. And the two guys that come up top at first base for me, that's kind of the ones that is going to be fun to watch going forward. And that's Matt Olson and Evan White. Evan White plays one of the most aggressive, athletic first base or defensive first base I've seen in a long time. And I really wish the Mariners could play the Mets this year, because I would love to hear what Keith Hernandez would say about Evan White's defense. I mean, he's a young, fast, athletic guy. He plays in, he has a good arm, and it's just a weird combination that we haven't seen at first base in a long time, especially in this day and age of where, teams are trying to fit bats in wherever they can. And it's usually at first base or someplace like left field. But seeing someone like Evan White is a breath of fresh air. And then Matt Olson, of course, won the Gold Glove, I believe, last year, and is set to be Gold Glove caliber there. And he also ranked as number 1 in outs above average, which is the metric I'm going to use to kind of put as a barometer against some of Felipe's picks. Matt Olson ranked number 1 again. He was 3 outs above average at first place, which led all first basemen in Major League Baseball.
Anybody else you got for me there, Sean?
Not really per se. Like you said, Cody Bellinger and Luis Robert graded out as the best outfielders. Bellinger actually had the highest combined outs above average. He was at +7, which was the same as Jackie Bradley Jr. and Luis Robert. But I guess he also got an extra out above average in right field. So he eked out everyone as the best defender in baseball, according to StatCast's outs above average, which of course utilizes all the wonderful StatCast tracking. It actually takes into account every single play, where the player started, where the player ended, where the ball started, and where the ball ended. And it takes every play as its own, in a vacuum. Unlike, kind of DRS and UZR, which are great tools, but I believe DRS and UZR sometimes have a hard time differentiating how not all balls are the same, even if they end up in the same spot. And I think that's something that is harder for DRS and UZR to take into account. And OAA does a very good job of doing that.
I'm kind of curious, are you able to do by position right now really quick on your end, so I can type it up here as your
Yes. First base was Matt Olson. Yeah. Second base was Nicky Lopez and Adam Frazier, tied at second with +6. Colton Wong, who actually won the Gold Glove, finished at only +2, but he was one of the tops last year, so could have just been a short sample size. Nolan Arenado, of course, is going to lead all third basemen and tied for second overall among all players in outs above average at +7. I think I said that again. Shortstop, who was one of the worst defensive shortstops in baseball, according to outs above average in 2019, Fernando Tatis Jr.
Wow.
And this is a great evolution for him. He has all of the tools, as we've seen. He's fast, he's athletic, he's got an absolute rocket for an arm. But what he dealt with a lot of last year was these wild throws. And those errors are going to kill you in outs above average if you're just trying to make plays. It comes with maturity. You got to learn to pocket the ball sometimes. You have a great arm. You don't always have to use it. And in the outfield, I did actually by left field, center field, right field. I had O'Neill in left, Luis Robert in center, and Mookie Betts in right. Luis Robert, JBJ, and Bellinger all were +7 in center field, so they're kind of in a three-way tie. Tyler O'Neill was tied with Robbie Grossman at +4, and Mookie Betts was all on his lonesome at +6 in right field. Of course, we saw that in the playoffs. I mean, you don't need me to sit here and tell you what their outs above average was. I mean, a lot of these guys you actually see. Granted, you look at second base and you highlight the names of like Nicky Lopez and Adam Frazier, two guys who I'm sure a lot of people that are listening to this don't even know who Nicky Lopez is. And he is a great defensive second baseman, and I actually like his potential offensively. It hasn't translated yet at the major league level, but fast, gets on base, and plays for the Royals. So that's a combination that is just made in heaven. But catcher, there is no OA or outs above average for catcher, which leads me to this: is have you pulled up your best catchers yet?
Oh yeah, we can go there right now.
Okay, because
wait, defensive or just hitters?
Defensive.
Okay, here we go. And just the preface is really, Sean, I got lazy and I only did the defensive run save because I forgot that there's a new frame stat that Fangraphs has now, and I didn't bother. But I just said, well, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna go with DRS because that's the one that measures these guys. But go ahead.
And obviously, you have a lot of guys up there who are known for being great defensive catchers. James McCann probably sticks out. In DRS, he's always been better, but he's been statistically a very poor framer, but had his first above average year framing. But everybody else on that list has kind of been known for a good glove, except number 12, Omar Narvaez, who was always bat first, and they weren't even sure if he was going to be able to stick at catcher, and they knew he didn't have enough power to hit as a DH. Well, What does he do? Over the last 2 seasons, not counting 2020, so 18 and 19, he was worth -20 runs extra strikes, which is StatCast's framing metric, one of the worst in baseball over the time period. And then what does he do in 2020? He goes and he leads the goddarn league in framing and runs extra strikes at +5. So it could be a small sample size. Who knows? It could have been a lot of those umpire crews stayed the same, and maybe he just got lucky with who was behind the plate. I don't know. But the transformation of Omar Narvaez from being one of the worst defensive framers and just catchers overall to being one of the best is, I think, a story that nobody else is going to talk about. But it's a very important one because if he improves defensively and stays in the lineup consistently, in a lineup that features Christian Yelich and Keston Hiura, that's a good bat to have in fantasy. So I think Omar Narvaez is a really interesting pick for someone who wasn't seen. Outside of the framing, you have Pop Time, which was led by JT Realmuto, which is a obvious pick. But as I was talking to Felipe before the show, JT Realmuto has always been one of the best defensive catchers in baseball since he played catcher. And for the people that don't know, he was a converted infielder, second baseman and shortstop mainly. And he's always consistently posted great pop times, a great framer. This year, it was all the same. He was the framing kind of went down a little bit, but I'm not going to throw it out with small sample sizes. His pop time, which is the amount of time it takes for you to get up, ball, leaves hand. That's from the time you catch it to the time you release. And he's consistently been in the 1.8 second range, which is just insanely good. And he kept that this year, but then also posted the worst caught stealing percentage of his entire career since becoming a full-time catcher, which is a little interesting to look at as a development. Is it because they're just running on the pitcher more often? Or is it something they see in JT Realmuto? Is the arm strength still there? It did go down a little bit. Should be interesting to watch develop as someone who's been, consistently regarded as one of the best defensive catchers in baseball.
All right. So moving on, let's talk some base running. I know that base running is something that people still are enamored with, as people think that's 1920 and not 2020, but here it is. Obviously, Adalberto Mondesi got the most stolen bases in the league. So I don't know if you got Mondesi, you probably in fantasy baseball, you probably are happy as hell that he was able to get all those stolen bases for you. And it's like by a big landslide too. I think he had 8 more stolen bases than the second place guy in Jonathan Villar.
And I wish I could credit this to where I found it on Twitter. I'm sure I'll see it in a couple of days. But in the amount of opportunities to steal bases that Adalberto Mondesi actually attempted to steal or stole the base, he was at like 30%. 30% of his opportunities he ran. The next closest person was like 17%. So almost double. So if you are in a categories or standard roto league, I know I'm in 3 drafts currently. I'm insane. I know. But I just picked in a 12-team dynasty. I picked Adalberto Mondesi. It's a categories league, so I need those stolen bases. I picked him at like 47th overall. Wow. I sold out. I'm selling out. I'm on this train for forever. There's no getting off of it now.
Wow. Yeah, because they were talking about then the rates and barrels podcast. Eno Saris was, and the other guy,
Derek Van Ripper. Derek Van Ripper.
Call him James Vanderbeek of poor RVD, right? That's his acronym. RVD.
Yes. DVR. DVR.
DVR. Sorry, RVD is the wrestler. Sorry, RVD. Oh my God, I'm still doing it. DVR.
Crossover. We got a wrestling group crossover. There we go.
Yes, we do. They were talking about how they're very hesitant to pick up Adalberto Mondesi for next year, even though the stolen bases are kind of scarce, and that there's really no one to fall back on like in years past in the middle of the rounds. They're still kind of icky about him because he strikes out too much and doesn't make as much contact. And here's Sean over here telling me that he's going to go all in on Mondesi, which is it's like, I don't know. It's just kind of funny. The dynamic, the difference.
Mondesi might be one of the most Jekyll and Hyde players I've ever seen, but for the last 2 seasons, he has ended up right around the same area. He posted a 715 OPS in 2019 and 710 this year. Granted, he was on fire in the second half. So imagine how bad he was doing to be on fire for the last 3 weeks, and still end up with only a 710 OPS. Like I said, there are huge strikeout issues with him. Absolutely massive. But he's still only 25. He's been in the league for, 4 full years, 3 full years, 3 or 4, something like that. But he just steals bases like nobody else can. And in a categories league, that type of skill is ever useful. And he did show this year, he had the highest average exit velocity that he's ever had. So there's starting to be more consistently hard contact. Maybe he would do better getting it on the ground a bit more, but I'm sold on the speed, especially in categories leagues. In a points league, I fade him very hard, but in real life, that he has a skill set that I simply think nobody else has.
And then I got another category called the 3x5 heroes. No, they're not index cards. They're literally just where did these guys ranked overall. And by the way, what's the minimum here? The minimum I put down was 2. Shoot, I thought I wrote it down. I thought it was 200 plate appearances.
Okay.
No, that doesn't sound right. Shit. I didn't write it down, but I know it's like some weird number.
Like 150, maybe. I don't know.
That sounds more right, and I can't believe I didn't write it down. Oh, it's right here. 120.
120, close. Okay.
So 120 plate appearances, you have to qualify, and this is literally like my thing is if I'm going to get a guy who steals bases, he better also do other things for me as well. And as you can see, number one, at the very least, give me 3 categories: stolen bases, average, and runs scored, right? Because if you're just going to steal bases, then you're just sucking up my roster spot. And Trey Turner ended up being the number 1 3x5 hero because he could not only steal bases, but he could hit for a high average and be counted upon to score runs from anywhere, right? And obviously, it's the who's who of good hitters, right? Mookie Betts, Trevor Story, Jose Ramirez, Fernando Tatis with Merrifield, and then there's Adalberto Mondesi, who did not contribute in the top 10 on an average or runs scored.
He's got a terrible offense. Terrible offense.
Yeah, same thing with Yar, Raimel Tapia as well, although he only got in because of the batting average. But
so anyway. Did Byron Buxton not have enough plate appearances for this list? I would have expected his name here.
I guess not.
I guess not. He had 135 plate appearances. He only stole 2 bases.
Yeah.
But still a guy who's in the 99th percentile in sprint speed, is still a speed demon. Had the 4th highest sprint speed in all of baseball. And you would be shocked that the top 3 in sprint speed are not on your list at all.
No, of course not.
And they are, and this is according to, StatCast. And Felipe's kind of doing the Fangraphs awards. I'm doing StatCast awards, if you can't catch the theme here. The top 3 in sprint speed are guys that, once again, you've probably never heard of, aren't full-time players, but are interesting to at least keep tabs on in case of an injury. Tim Lecastro, the human ball magnet, that's been his skill basically throughout. I mean, if you can't hit and you're kind of an okay fielder everywhere, and you are one of the fastest guys in baseball, and you get hit by a lot of pitches, guess what? You're going to have a high OBP. He does walk a good bit. And if you have a high OBP and the fastest sprint speed in all of baseball, that's a really good a pairing for a lot of stolen bases. Right now, he's more of a utility player for Arizona, but somebody to keep an eye on. Roman Quinn filled in center field multiple times this year due to injuries. He had the 2nd fastest sprint speed. And then Adam Engel of Felipe's own White Sox posted the 3rd highest sprint speed, faster than guys like Byron Buxton, Trey Turner, and Fernando Tatis Jr. and Adalberto Mondesi. Once again, these guys aren't, your run-of-the-mill star players, but they're people to target for stolen bases in deeper leagues or daily leagues.
All I hear they're scrubs, man. They scrubs.
They're just fast. They're dedicated. They're the designated runner.
They're the designated runner. And I'm kind of questioning myself misspelling Tim Lecastro. See, is that how you spell Lecastro?
LO, and it's not French. There you go.
And Roman Quinn, who I remember him, he showed up a lot in our leagues.
Yes.
In a Fantrax league.
Once he started playing more often, he was basically starting every day for them for a couple of weeks and wasn't terrible, if I remember correctly.
He was always available on waivers, man. And we ran deep. So that tells you all you need to know about Roman Quinn. But I'm sure someone eventually picked him up and took advantage of the stolen bases. And Adam Engel.
Yes, he did have 12 stolen bases, which in a shortened season was relevant. He was a terrible hitter. He had a 576 OPS, but 12 stolen bases is relevant in fantasy over, 40, 50 games.
Can't do it, man. I can't do it. I'd rather die than that's another discussion.
I would rather die and lose because of stolen bases than roster Roman Quinn. That's going to be the quote of the show.
Yeah, I can't do it. This is why I don't do 5x5 exclusively over here. Speaking of, we do have a baseball league, the Baseball Live Fantasy Baseball League, and we don't use stolen bases. We use stolen bases net, which is stolen base minus caught stealing. And it didn't matter. Adalberto Mondesi was number 1 in the hood. It didn't matter how many times he got caught. He just kept stealing it. Like for all the reasons you mentioned.
Look at number 3. I'm sorry. I had something. I had something. Actually tied for 2nd too. Yeah, he's not even 3rd. He's tied for 2nd.
Yeah. Well,
it's like golf.
Trevor Story's a little bit more productive, so let's
just a little bit. You're not going to pick Roman Quinn top 10 pick?
Oh man, I need those stolen bases now. God damn it! Jeez.
Who cares about Story's home runs?
Yeah, he plays for the Rockies and all that. So, but yeah, it didn't matter. Mondesi, number 1, he can get caught a million times. He's still going to steal bases because the Royals are going to royal. Power and speed. This was basically home runs and stolen bases. Again, this is the fantasy aspect. Like, fine, maybe you won't do the runs and the average or whatever. Okay, can you at least provide me some power and speed? And yes, Fernando Tatis Jr., number 1. with the stolen bases ranked high, as well as the home runs, number one on this list in home runs. There was a minimum of like maybe 7 stolen bases to qualify for this list, by the way. And Tatis, Trevor Story, the usual suspects, right? Trevor Story, Trey Turner, Jose Ramirez, and there's Adalberto Mondesi, who's just there because he just steals so many freaking bases. And the last category we have here is what I like to call the speed demons. You notice I added triple here because you know who uses triples as one of their categories? Us.
We do.
We do. So this is runs plus stolen bases plus triples. And this is, again, the rankings, where they rank, again, you get in first, you get 10 points. You get second, you get 9 points. Trey Turner was probably the most valuable player in terms of speed. And again, in terms of production speed, not the sprint speed or the measurements, the actual calculations that they do with the tracking devices. But Trey Turner was able to provide you, can score runs, can steal bases, and can get to third base when he hits the ball in the gap. And again, usual suspects, Trevor Story and Adalberto Mondesi. I mean, he's just naturally fast, but he's also, it just makes me angry that he's so high up there. But it is a base running spreadsheet that I'm using here. And there's your guy, Trent Grisham. I remember you were telling me about him during our
I love me some Trent Grisham.
And anything else you want to add for base running before we move on to
For base running, I also thought it would be fun just to examine some of the slowest guys in baseball. Do you want to take any guesses as to the top 3?
Oh my Lord. Is Jose Abreu? He looks really slow.
No, he's spry. He was in the bottom half, obviously, but he was not even close to the top 3.
Daniel Vogelbach, he has to be slow as hell.
No, right? He's got Vogel speed. The 3 slowest would be Albert Pujols, Justin Smoke, and Yadier Molina. 7 of the top 10 were catchers. If that tells you anything you need to know about being a catcher, is it instantly makes you slower. Obviously, with 7 of the 10 being catchers, I thought a interesting one. Yadier Molina has been catching for ages and is now the 3rd slowest. And he's, always been known of a guy who kind of takes it easy if he knows it's a automatic out. And Robinson Cano has also been the same way. These guys know their bodies better than any fan will. And the Mets fans absolutely hate Robinson Cano because he does not hustle to first. And now with the Mets in need of a catcher, you know what all those same Mets fans are doing? Get Yadier Molina! Like, come on now. Come on.
Wait,
seriously.
Putting a catcher at the bottom of the list is too easy for you, Sean. Give me a non-catcher to replace.
The closest was Miggy Cabrera was 4th.
There you go. Well,
yeah, those were the only 3 in the top 10 that were not catchers.
You know what? Now looking at this list, it might be too easy to go after first baseman. You know what? Let's do middle infielders. That would be a better. Can you do that on your end or no?
Yes, right here. Infielders.
Middle infielders and center fielders. So up the middle.
So the slowest center field. Oh goodness gracious. The slowest. Oh wow. This is going to shock some people, and this is why I'm glad the Mets avoided him. The slowest center fielder, according to sprint speed, was Lorenzo Cain, 34 years old, and the legs are already shot. He's tied with Ender Inciarte, who is a 30-year-old. Al Mora was 3rd. And then in middle infield, let's go to just shortstop. Let's see if we can find ourselves a Johnny Peralta level speed guy here.
Brendan Crawford.
Brendan Crawford, 25.7. Look at him go. Look at Felipe go. Andrelton Simmons came in 3rd on that list, 26.1 feet per second. And second base is going to have to be Robinson Cano.
Yeah, I was already typing.
Yeah, it's Robinson Cano, Neil Walker, and Mike Moustakas, and Luis Guillorme. So 3 of the top 4 are Mets or former Mets. We love our slow-footed second baseman.
This makes me happy because it's easy to pick on catchers and first baseman, but what about guys who are supposed to be fast? And you know what? I'm not satisfied. I'm not going to ask you to keep looking, but I am not satisfied because now we're going after old people.
Now we're going after old people.
You know what I want to see, Sean? I want to see the guys who are so, like, they're young and they're supposed to be spry, and yet they're slow as molasses.
I got one for you, and this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt Vince's feelings, but 24-year-old utility infielder for the New York Yankees, one of Vince's favorite guys, Thairo Estrada, or thyroestrata. I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
I'm not even gonna bother.
Yeah. It's going to hurt Vince's feelings if he watches the show. I'm sorry, but he is the slowest 24-year-old in baseball, probably.
Wow.
Totally not a scientific study, so don't quote me.
All right. So that was very interesting. But yeah, we figure, base running doesn't get a lot of love. I mean, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's a very polarizing subject matter because, if you try to put it on equal edge with like power hitters, people get mad. But if you don't acknowledge that the importance of speed, people get mad. So hopefully people find a happy balance here. Give a quick shout out to, while I zoom in on this one, Melvin, who has his own Facebook page. And he'll be updating us with the winter leagues, right? Dominican, Mexican, Venezuela. I think Venezuela still has a league. I don't know with the turmoil that's going on down there. But he's going to update us every once in a while to tell us how things are going in the Caribbean and in South America.
Melvin commented, Alejandro Kirk, who has been, was this year's Williams Astudillo. He's probably the second shortest player in all of baseball, and he is quite portly. Melvin, if you're still listening, I have something to tell you. Alejandro Kirk once stole home in a minor league game. It was off a delayed double steal, but he stole home. And I remember I was coming across it on Twitter, and it was just somebody had screenshotted the play log from the game, and it said Alejandro Kirk steals home. And it was like, there's a glitch in the matrix somewhere. But yes, for even a portly guy, he stole home. And I think he actually chipped in a couple of other stolen bases around in the minors.
And he's happy with that response. He's shouting Alejandro Kirk's name for some reason. And for those wondering, are listening on a Monday or Tuesday or watching us on YouTube, where are these comments coming from? Well, they're coming from the best baseball group on Facebook, goddammit. It's the Baseball Live Facebook group. Come join us. We're about close to 6,000 members now, Sean.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting up there in members, assuming that they don't all leave because of the political stuff that we post every once in a while.
But no, so to Alejandro Kirk, in the last 2 seasons, he stole 2 stolen bases in 2018 and 3 in 2019. So take that, sprint speed.
Wow, that's just why
and athletic figures.
Let's see. We got Bears fan Ricky also, who's pretty pissed off at the Bears. I don't blame you. I'm pretty mad at them too. Bad game today. Awful, just awful. And yeah, he wanted to look at the slowest infielders and center fielders as well. So I didn't even see the comment until now. So I hope we satisfied his thirst for knowledge there. Let's look at the best hitters. And again, all advanced stats. I don't use home runs. I don't use that batting average or slugging average or, I like the Fangraph stats first, and at first I only went with WOBA, which is the weighted on base average, and the weighted runs created plus. These are supposed to be statistics that are all encompassing, right? They take everything a hitter has done productively and put it in terms of the WOBA, into a batting average figure. And in terms of WRC plus, well, if you're above 100, that means you're that much better than every Major League Baseball hitter in the league.
So 105 would be 5% better than the league average player.
Right. And these are rate stats. And when I was doing this, as you can see, Juan Soto was number 1. All right, well, Juan Soto is my MVP, right? But I'm like, nah, he missed a lot of time, though. So I started figuring out what I need is some counting stats. And this is where offensive runs above average, which is the metric used to compile the offensive number in Fangraphs is WAR, wins above replacement. So this is a more accumulating stat. So I figured we need to reward guys who made it past this wacky season and was able to produce all year long and not just for a short stretch. I mean, Juan Soto has a 200 WRC plus. What is that? 100% better than everybody in the league?
Juan Soto, no matter where you look, if you go to StatCast, he was first in expected slugging. He was first in WOBA. He was first in expected WOBA. He was first in basically everything. I would be here all day if I listed every first that he was leading. And honestly, I think he was the league's best hitter. You do have WRC not plus, just WRC, which is a counting stat, which is why it shows Freeman being slightly better than Juan Soto, as WRC takes into account basically all of the cumulative stats. And so the more plate appearances you have, the higher your WRC is going to be, while WRC plus is simply a rate stack that accounts for ballpark factors and league average.
And the only reason I wanted to put some accumulating stats was because I had Juan Soto in my league.
Or else Juan Soto would just be number one everywhere.
Exactly. And not just that, but I remember Juan Soto when we were evaluating my fantasy team in our league. I don't remember Juan Soto being ranked very highly. Dominic Smith ended up being my 2020 best hitter on my team. And then I remember, Juan Soto missed a lot of time.
Yeah, he missed like 2.5 weeks at the beginning, yeah.
I mean, that's a big difference. So that's when I decided, let's put in some counting stats and rank them all together and see what the machine spits out. And there it is. Freddie Freeman, your best hitter of 2020, not just based on rate stats, but also based on the cumulative stats. And over on this side, I have my Silver Slugger awards, including my National League MVP, which goes to Freddie Freeman, and AL MVP, which goes to DJ LeMahieu for some reason. But I mean, you can see LeMahieu was the best hitter according to my little table here in the American League. And I also misspelled his name. It's a capital M as in Mike. But here are my Silver Sluggers, which is catcher Salvador Perez, which I'm pretty sure Sean wants to share his thoughts on that really quick. Salvador Perez, I've been championing him all off season long at the beginning. Remember? And I also
yes. Remind me one more time, Felipe.
Salvador Perez was the catcher to get in fantasy leagues because he plays every day. It's just simple. You show up. Showing up is half the battle, Sean. And yeah, I know he sucks or he doesn't hit the ball well or he's too impatient, whatever. But he shows up, man. That's all you need. And so the numbers show that he was the best hitting catcher. And we'll get to that spreadsheet in a little bit. Freddie Freeman, the best first baseman in terms of this table here. DJ LeMahieu, I already mentioned. Trey Turner, which we mentioned ad nauseum in the base running data. Jose Ramirez, who you are a big fan of, and he's in our mock draft.
In those 3 drafts I'm in, the first 2 I was in, a 20-teamer and a 30-teamer. I got Jose Ramirez in both. And then in the 12-team dynasty, I had the, I believe, 10th overall pick. And I could have gotten Jose Ramirez. And I said, I swear to God, if I have to pick Jose Ramirez one more time, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot. And so I picked Christian Yelich instead because Yelich had actually fallen to me at 10. And I started a dynasty with Christian Yelich and Garrett Cole, which I could not be happier about. But yes, I am a huge fan of Jose Ramirez, but I'm just kind of getting sick of him. He was in our Ryder mock draft. It's like, it's like if you eat too much ice cream. Jose Ramirez is ice cream.
But if you pick Jose Ramirez over Christian Yelich and his gimpy knee, I don't even know if he's 100% healthy. And the other thing against Christian Yelich is he's left-handed. So
hey, I don't have a problem with that. I prefer that. I welcome problems. But no, Salvador Perez, we didn't really finish that thought. This is a guy
before we hold that thought. Patience, my young grasshopper over there. Because we do have a sheet for catchers. I want the people to look at it. But I want to put out Marcell Ozuna's bounce back year with the Atlanta Braves.
Gonna make him a lot of money.
Oh yeah. He better because he deserved it.
I saw someone that there was a report today that the National League is it's going to be eventual. They're getting the DH this year more than likely. Woo! And but I also saw one of my Red Sox fans who was also, they named the top 3 teams from our writers mock, and he was voted by the users of the mock draft to have the number 1 team, and that's Dev Jake on Twitter. You can find him over there. That is his Twitter handle, Jake DeVroe. He's a Red Sox fan, and he posted an article that Marcell Ozuna would be a good fit for the Red Sox. And I had this instant epiphany that Marcell Ozuna is just Manny Ramirez. I mean, they're both wild. I mean, I could totally imagine Manny Ramirez like taking a fake selfie while rounding the bases. I could see that. And I think Marcell Ozuna to Boston makes sense, and he needs to wear Manny Ramirez's number, and I'm starting the petition for that now.
All right. So we'll see if that comes true. Juan Soto is the other outfielder who we just talked about. I'm a big fan. Mike Trout. Duh. What's an outfield list without Mike Trout in it, right?
Yeah.
And finally, our DH/utility spot goes to Jose Abreu, which would make Ricky, who's our White Sox fan here listening in, he's kind of mad at us for not putting in Jose Abreu for MVP. But hey, he got the Silver Slugger as a DH here. So, all right, here we go. Best hitting catcher. Let me make this a little bit bigger. This is how it broke down because Sean is mad.
Let's break some knuckles. I'm ready to go. Come on.
So,
let's go.
As you can see, Will Smith was winning.
Yeah, Will Smith is the best hitting catcher in the league. Thank you.
He got jiggy with it. Yeah.
Next.
Then this happened. You know why that happened? Because he's a part-timer, all right?
And he was hurt. He missed 2 weeks. He was on the IL or
right.
DL.
Well, there you go.
Come on.
Oh, well. Go ahead.
No. You continue. I was just saying, come on. You can't hate him for that. It's a short season, and he's a catcher.
I mean, it's 2020 best hitting catcher, not, moving forward, who's going to be the best part-time catcher in the future. And I say part-time catcher because they're all part-timers. This right here, he's the only one who plays day in and day out when he's not going through Tommy John surgery. But he's the guy.
He played 37 games out of 60.
Okay, but then how did he get these accumulating stats? He had a hell of a season. And when he is healthy, he plays. He's iron. He's built like a freaking horse, man.
Okay.
Like an iron horse.
He posted 500 plus plate appearances in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive seasons. So I will concede that.
You showing up is half the battle. And I like and other catchers worth noting. Darno, who he's always finds a way to get on my fantasy team at the end of the season anyway. JT Realmuto, who I've been pushing you to convince the Mets to sign for the Mets so the Mets can go into the playoffs finally. Your guy Sean Murphy's in there.
Hey, I like Sean Murphy.
Wilson Contreras, and this scrub right here from the Red Sox also made it for some. He got
counting stats. He had like a 2 or 3 home run game against the Mets. I think it was 2 home runs in a game and 3 home runs for the entire series, or 4 home runs for the entire series. Yeah, probably didn't hit a home run the rest of the season. You're welcome, Christian Vasquez. The Mets. That was your Christmas gift. That was your Christmas gift. Yeah.
So this is why Salvador Perez he just squeaked by a 2-point margin, so it could have gone either way. But go ahead and tell me why Will Smith's the best hitting catcher right now.
No, I don't need to tell you why Will Smith is good. You just need to look at his numbers to see why he is good. I am here to tell you why Salvador Perez is not the best hitting catcher in baseball. So yes, on the surface, he had a fantastic year. 333, 353, 633 slugging. It was good for a 162 weighted runs created plus. That means he was 62% better than league average. There's a slight issue here. One, it came with he's never been a guy that walks. He's always been a hacker. Yeah. But even by his own standards, he had a 1.9 walk percentage, which was the lowest of his career. The only other time he's been that low was 2.4 in 2015. And for his entire career up to 2020, he had a 3.5 walk percentage. And then strikeout percentage, like I said, he's been a hacker, but he does make pretty good consistent contact. A below or above average 16% strikeout percentage that this year went up to 23.1%. So started making less contact and whiffing more. Now, he's always been someone who, like I said, hacks but makes hard contact. This year was no different. He had actually a slightly lower average exit velocity than he did in 2018, which was his last full season. In 2018, he had a 91.2 average exit velocity. This year, 91 miles per hour. That's a great number. Kudos to him. You hit the ball hard. This is where I do have an issue. For his entire career, up until 2020, he was a 266, 297, 442 hitter. In a categories league, okay, that makes sense. 266 average with pop, that works. In a points league, OBP league, no thanks. That's actually for his career before 2020. He had a 97 weighted runs created plus, meaning he was 3% worse than league average. From 2017 to 2018, that was over 340 games. He had a 1.8 WAR. And in 37 games in 2020, he posts a 1.9 WAR. You're telling me you buy that? And if you don't buy it yet, for his career before 2020, he had a 283 BABIP. Of course, that comes from him being slow as hell. In 2020, Felipe, he had a 375 BABIP, almost 100 points higher than his career average before 2020. This isn't happening. This is not real.
Oh, it's real right here, man.
Divert your eyes. It's not real.
It's real. Look,
in a full season. In a full season, it comes down.
It was a full season. 60 games was a full season in 2020. In 2020, it was. And that's what it's the 2020 best hitting catchers, not the best hitting catchers of the last 3 years. And yes, you're preaching to the freaking choir. I was a big anti-Salvador Perez fan for a long time. But then this year, something changed.
Then you drank the Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid.
No, but you know what changed? I got tired of all these part-time catchers. They're all part-time catchers. All of these guys are, except for JT Realmuto and Travis d'Arnaud. He's splitting time with Tyler Flowers. Are you kidding me? Will Smith has to give up games to Austin Barnes? No, man. No, I don't think so. And like I said, for all the reasons you mentioned, especially the plate discipline issues, that's why I always avoided Salvador Perez. But coming into this season, showing up is half the battle. If you can give me a guy who has proven to play a lot, now he's getting older, so I expect that number to dip. But for this 2020 season, if this was a full season and he's coming back from Tommy John surgery and he's going to be better than, whatever, then yeah, give him to me. Because he's going to show up. Yeah, he's going to hurt my on-base percentage, which he didn't this year, by the way. But yeah, and normally he is going to hurt my on-base percentage, but not this year.
Not this year.
Not this year. Maybe next year. Yeah, maybe next year. And I'll adjust my rankings therefore. But for 2020, Salvador Perez did prove his worth.
I guess. I'd also like to point out that before 2020, his career home run to fly ball percentage, which is usually between, on average 12 to 15%. It's getting higher as more people consistently launch the ball. It used to be around 10%, but it's now about 12 to 15. His career average was 11.9, perfectly average. That makes you believe his home run numbers. This year, over double, 25.6 percentage, which isn't the highest you'll see, but for someone who averaged half that for his entire career, I don't buy it. Yes, he was good this year, but I do not buy it, and I will not buy it.
All right, well, we'll worry about that for next year. But for 2020, based on these advanced metrics from Fangraphs,
Fresh Prince was better.
Well, not according to the Fangraphs numbers. He's 2.4.
Not according to your combination of the Fangraphs numbers.
Maybe he didn't have to give up at plate appearances to Austin Barnes. Maybe he would be up there number one, but he doesn't. He has to give up.
Yeah, I was about to say, if we take away the counting stat.
Oh yeah, the same thing with Juan Soto, right? We did the same, but we didn't. I added the cumulative stats, and this is the results. Anyway, do you have any silver slugger? Does your silver slugger list
catcher Will Smith? This is all off the top of my head, so if I forget somebody, I'm sorry.
All right, well, are you going to be able to fill out the rest of the?
Yes, I can fill out the whole thing.
All right, let's go. So
catcher Will Smith,
rapper Will Smith from Philadelphia.
First base Freddie Freeman.
Okay, so that's the same.
Second base is going to be DJ LeMahieu again.
All righty.
We're actually going to be very similar here. Infield's actually the same.
Oh my God! All right.
Yeah, infield is the same. I'll go ahead and let you know that. And then outfield is going to be uno momento. While I orient myself, Juan Soto. We have that in common.
Yes.
Mike Trout.
Yes.
And then just because I want to ruffle some feathers here.
Okay.
Ronald Acuna.
Yeah. I mean, he's right there. I mean, He's not right there. Where is he on my list? He's not on my list. Wow. Okay. Oh, there he is. Number 13, 12, 10.
I don't know how he couldn't have been on your WRC plus because he had a 159, which was sixth. So there might have been an error somewhere. Oh, that's all of it. Oh, that's total. That's not just outfield. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a 159, which was really, really good. Had the 30% strikeout rate and the 250 average, which I'm sure worries some people. But the increased walk rate, increased power production was actually his best offensive year to date.
I was going to mention Jose Ramirez took the last slot in the WRC plus department. And the other thing was Acuna missed some time at the end as well.
So yes, for only 46 games. Yeah,
he missed that on the cumulative stats. So I mean, it was maybe I was going by fast, but I mean, I saw that Jose Ramirez got the last spot in the WRC plus. So if you're telling me he's 159, what did Jose Ramirez get?
Jose Ramirez, let me go to. I was on purely outfield. I'm sorry. Let me pull up third base. and 163. So just 4% behind.
All right. Well, there's your answer. Do you have a utility spot for me here?
Marcell Ozuna. I want to go Dominic Smith to give him a shout out. It was very close between those two.
Hey, I give him enough shout outs in this show. Don't worry about that. Save my season this year. I didn't win anything, but you know what it was. Why I like Dominic Smith so much, Sean, is because he justified me not drafting a first baseman highly. So there you go. Do you have an MVP you want to mention right now?
NL MVP. I know it's going to be Freddie Freeman, but if I had a vote, I would have actually picked Juan Soto.
And what about...
I think if the Nationals went to the playoffs, he would have been the shoo-in for MVP.
What about the AL?
AL, I believe it's going to be Jose Ramirez. It should be Jose Ramirez. Jose Abreu is going to get votes, but Jose Ramirez should win it. He might not, but he should.
Yeah, and I selfishly only went by the numbers here, but I should have gone with Jose Ramirez, and I should have used a host privilege here and just gone with Jose Ramirez. Because his team actually made the playoffs and was relevant, and I guess the Yankees made the playoffs too. But okay,
whatever. Yeah, and Jose Abreu made the playoffs as well, and he's another finalist.
Yeah, there you go. All right, there. That should make Ricky a little bit happier down there. He's mad at me because I did not name Jose Abreu. I don't know if Ricky knows that I'm also a White Sox fan and a Cubs fan. I'm wearing the Cubs today, so I wonder if that's part of the anger that he has towards me right now. Well, maybe he'll tell me. He's gonna let me know like in 5 minutes because we're on a delay here. All right. Starting pitching, Sean. We're making some headwind right here. We're getting there. This should be fast and furiously easy. I mean, Shane Bieber just 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. He's the Ty Dillinger, another wrestling reference. He's the Ty Dillinger of this spreadsheet. He killed it. Yeah. He killed everybody else. So Shane Bieber was the best pitcher in all of baseball this year. So let's forget about all that and let's go on to my starting rotation, which I'm pretty sure you're going to share your rotation as well. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and just make some adjustments and wait for you to give me the signal. But here's who I have as my starting rotation for 2020. And as you can see, Shane Bieber, number one. He's my ace for obvious reasons. Number one on my list, number one here. Jacob deGrom, he's my NL Cy Young Award winner. Number one NL pitcher based by according to the numbers. And then Yu Darvish in the mid rotation, Trevor Bauer at number 4, Dinelson Lamet sneaking in. And my spot starter, it couldn't have worked out better for me, Sean. As you can see right here, Kenta Maeda, number 6 pitcher. Kenta Maeda, my number spot starter there. He is the ultimate spot starting candidate and profile that you could have found in this wacky, crazy 2020 season. So I am very satisfied how these numbers played out for this list. What do you have for me?
I just kind of want to continue your Kenta Maeda thought real fast. He was a guy who, if you listen to a lot of the really smart crowd on Twitter, there's a lot of smart people in the fantasy baseball industry right now, and they're all very accessible on Twitter. And Kenta Maeda is a guy who they have been shouting from for a while now that, he is better than his numbers. He is better than what he looks. And this was his breakout campaign. He got traded from Los Angeles. His contract that he had signed with them when he came over discouraged Los Angeles from utilizing him fully because he got paid the more money, the more appearances he made, and so on and so forth. And so that's why he kept going to the bullpen and then back to starting, back to the bullpen, back to starting. But this year in Minnesota, he finally broke out. I am going to name my starting rotation utilizing StatCast's expected ERA, which takes into account their strikeout to walks, their batted ball contact, and many other factors. And it's a really good metric that I like. Coming in at number 1 was Trevor Bauer. He had a expected ERA almost half a run lower than the next person, which was Shane Bieber.
Former teammate.
Yes. And third was the GOAT, the best pitcher in baseball, Jacob deGrom, who at 32 is throwing harder and faster and is kind of reinventing the wheel here because that's not what we expected. Number 4 is Kenta Maeda, who we just talked about. And then 5, Dinelson Lamet. And number 6 is a name you were not expecting at all. Christian Javier of the Houston Astros. We've talked about him a little bit on this podcast. He is a guy that he misses bats. He had great batting average against and expected batting average against. So he wasn't lucky. He didn't have low batting average against because of luck. That's just how he pitches. And he had the 6th lowest expected ERA. So I'm going to have him fill out our spot start. Our only difference is Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish finished right at 10 with a 3.01 expected ERA, which was exactly 1 run higher than his real life ERA. So he was slightly lucky, according to this metric.
And getting back to the Kenta Maeda, the only thing I didn't like about him was, I think you mentioned it as well, that the Twins were trying to lower his metrics or his stats from accumulating because there were some kickers on his contract, right?
I don't think Minnesota it was mainly Los Angeles did that last year. This year, he pitched just about every day, and he's another one of those guys who this year it's pitch mix changes. He threw his slider almost 39% of the time, his changeup 30% of the time, and his fastball sinker combination only 25.9% of the time. So he is throwing his best pitches more and more, which is a trend we see across baseball. Yeah. And these guys are using it to great effect.
And like I said, I liked them back in February, March. What I didn't like was the Twins were talking about, eventually when some of these other pitchers come back, like Michael Pineda and Rich Hill, Rich Hill come back. Kenta Maeda will go back to the bullpen. Like, no, can't have that.
They did not trade Brusdar Graterol to put Kenta Maeda in the bullpen. I knew he was starting from day one.
That was enough to sour for me, but I like Kenta Maeda. Just guarantee me that he'll be out there every 5 games. Yeah. Come on, you guys.
So we have a commenter question. Ricky is asking, do you think that DeGrom is going to win for the Cy Young for the 3rd time in a row, or is it going to be Bauer or Darvish this year? Your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts.
I have him already at Jacob DeGrom.
Okay. Oh, you have him winning. Okay.
I was going to ask you, do you have your AL and NL Cy Young winner?
I think Trevor Bauer is going to win it. I think DeGrom has a better case than people realize, but I think the kind of recency bias and he's the big free agent, and I think there's more hype around Trevor Bauer right now than ever before. And then Shane Bieber, obviously, for AL, it's not even close. But Jacob DeGrom, like you said, led the league or the National League in Fangraphs WAR. He was second to only Shane Bieber, and that was with missing, I believe, 2 starts.
That's right.
And he led the National League in strikeouts and missed a start or 2. That's impressive. I mean, it's really impressive. He has a better case than he should. If the voters take into account it could be his 3rd potential Cy Young, then yes. If they look solely at 2020 and how great Trevor Bauer was, then I think Trevor Bauer's going to win. You never know the leanings of the writers. I also think Trevor Bauer and his personality might cost him some votes here. I know it's not supposed to, but we're all humans with our inherent biases and reasons for what we do. And Trevor Bauer could lose the Cy Young just because of who he is and how he is.
We talked about it already. It's a popularity contest with the Gold Glove. It's a popularity contest with the Cy Young. At the very least, there's been a recent trend where they've been using some of these advanced metrics for the Gold Glove, and they even have some advanced metric awards for defensive players as well. But Cy Young is still a popularity contest at 100%. And I know Ricky's asking, how? You're weird because you're picking Jacob DeGrom. Well, I mean, if I had a vote, I'd vote for him. Screw Trevor Bauer, whatever.
Really, I would have never guessed that.
I'm not voting for Trevor Bauer. But you know what? We are going to talk about, this is like our fantasy world right here. Not just fantasy baseball, but the vacuum that Sean mentioned earlier today. This is the vacuum. This is based on the numbers. Jacob DeGrom, based on all the statistics I used, both traditional and the advanced stats, was better than Trevor Bauer. He was that much better.
I need that to be our thumbnail for our YouTube video, which if you are not catching us live or on any of our other audio only formats, you can catch Felipe and the hard work that he does to put into these spreadsheets. You can catch those on YouTube. We're under Total Bases Podcast, and once you go there, you'll actually be able to see all of the Life Group podcasts, which they do an awesome job. Felipe, I'm sure, will give you the schedules at the end of the show, but I just wanted to give them a shout out and our YouTube, because where else can you get such great analytical insight in the best, most colorful spreadsheet I've ever seen in my life.
I love color. I was gonna make a joke about me listening to more Tekashi 6ix9ine and put
it looks like his hair.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and right there's Mike Fires right there. So they're both snitches. And
you're wrong for that. You're wrong for that.
No, he got some cheap points here for he got a counting stat. Oh, the wins. Yeah, Mike Fires wins. Good for him.
Mike Fires. If this was 1976, Mike Fires would have won the Cy Young, obviously.
Oh, easily. Yeah, and but here's the thing. I mean, Michael Jordan rules, right? Last I checked, 43 points beats 26 points all the time. So that's all I'm doing here. It's not to ruffle any feathers. I mean, I'm just going with what the numbers are saying and what these numbers are saying. These are the numbers.
And against his own hometown pick too.
Which one?
Yu Darvish.
And Lucas Giolito as well. I thought Ricky was going after me for Lucas Giolito for ranking so low on this list, but and then picking Shane Bieber, the White Sox rival, and then I even misspelled Yu Darvish's name. There's a missing H here, but I mean Yu Darvish kept it close this year, and if DeGrom would have faltered this season, I would have given it to Yu Darvish. But if the numbers are saying Jacob DeGrom was better than Trevor Bauer, I mean, and even Yu Darvish was better than Trevor Bauer, so be it. But we'll get to the real. We are going to break down the real Cy Young and MVP. But if I had a vote, this is who I would vote for, to say the least. All right, let's move on to relief pitchers. Unless you got something else to tell me about these starters.
No, that's it.
Let's move on. All right, let's go. Move on to relief pitchers, and we talk about relief pitchers all the freaking time here. It's like we might as well call our show relief pitcher bases or whatever. Got a few things I want to show off here because I didn't do these spreadsheets just for fun. Actually, I did. This is the way I have fun. Holds and saves is one that I wanted to highlight because, we are in a holds league as well. So Brad Hand got the saves category and Jake Diekman got the holds category. And Jake Diekman was a player I had and he helped me. And I noticed that I started losing when I dropped him because I thought he was that the bottom fell off of him. But there you are. There's your holds leader and your saves leader. The 4x5 heroes, I like to call them, and this is, again, more of a fantasy baseball thing than anything, and this is saves, ERA, whip, and strikeouts. So these categories right here. Devin Williams.
Wait, you're telling me Devin Williams finished that high without one save?
Yep.
Wow.
Wow is right.
Wow, that is shocking. That is absolutely shocking.
And these aren't the advanced numbers at all. These are traditional numbers. So traditionally speaking, he was best, and he's just a rookie too. Traditionally speaking, he was the best relief pitcher out there.
And what were those stats for you again? Or for the listeners in the 4x5?
Saves, ERA, whip, and strikeouts. This is traditional.
So it's not even counting the 4 wins or the 9 holds that he got, which on their own are valuable in category leagues if you have wins and holds. So he did all of that without those 4 wins and 9 holds. Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
And if you want to get going, I did. Oh, I forgot to mention that's part of the figures here that I use for the best starting pitcher is it's going to be different for best relief pitcher, but for best starting pitcher, I used. Let's go back to it really quick. I used strikeouts F4, so 2 cumulative stats. FIP, which is field independent pitching, which we talked about before, but basically strikeouts, walks, and home runs. Those are the things that pitchers can control. XFIP, which is the same as FIP, but they account for league average and the home runs, right?
Yes.
And Sierra accounts for league average batted balls. All right. And as you can see, Shane Bieber swept this category. I mean, he got the perfect score, 50 out of 50. The perfect score and best relief pitcher would have been, because we're using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories, would have been 60 out of 60. He got close, 53 out of 60. And it's because he didn't get enough saves and holds this year. Why? Because the Brewers just utilized them liberally, and it didn't matter what situation. Whenever the Brewers were in trouble, here comes Devin Williams.
He got the Josh Hader treatment from 2 years ago, from 2018.
And that allowed Josh Hader to be the closer.
Yeah,
exclusively.
And now if Josh Hader gets traded, does Devin Williams become the closer, a la Josh Hader, or do they turn to somebody else? Either way, that's a question we always worried about with Josh Hader, but it's a question that you as a fantasy owner and just as a baseball fan shouldn't worry about. You shouldn't grade Devin Williams' effectiveness based on how many saves he gets. You should judge his effectiveness on how effective he is. And every single number literally says he was the best relief pitcher in baseball. And Felipe's algorithm here just goes to show how much better he was than everybody else.
He led the league among relief pitchers. 18 innings pitch minimum was the minimum. He led in strikeouts, along with James Karinchak, which is another player we like to talk about on this show.
Yes.
All the players who we talk about on this show, they're proving their worth. They're rising to the top. The cream always rises to the top. And if we mention them on this show, you better be listening. It's a stupid thing, right? We tell in terms of fantasy baseball, we tell you who we're looking at, who we're gonna pick up on waivers, who we're looking to trade, who we're looking to draft, and it's just shocking that we're in this league with 10 other people, and we get away with being the number 1, number 2 team. Now we didn't win the championship, but if this was like Spanish league rules, where in soccer where you just the best.
We weren't getting relegated. That's important.
We weren't going to get relegated. We would have been neck and neck for that last game of the season to win the championship. But there is a playoff aspect to it, and we fell short for the last 2 weeks. But regardless, Devin Williams is the goods. Now I know he got hurt, didn't he? I thought there was an arm issue with him.
Right at the end of the year, and I think it was his oblique rather than arm.
Oh, he's fine. Yeah, then he'll be fine for next year too. And Liam Hendricks is the number 2 guy here, along with our guy James Karinchak, and Brad Hand basically got here because of the saves. So whatever. I'm not a big fan. He got dropped by the Cleveland Indians for a reason. So, and here is my bullpen, quick lightning round here. Liam Hendricks is my closer for obvious reasons. I mean, White Sox, as a White Sox fan, I saw that firsthand. I mean, he shut down the White Sox, closer or non-closer. I mean, yeah, he is the closer for 2020. I should probably put that down. 2020 bullpen. Devin Williams, who's my Lurpa, which is a kind of a new role. Which I don't know if they're still using it. I know Brian Kenny was using it a while back I think it was on the Athletic or some other website. Late inning relief pitching assassin, which kind of stuck with me. I use it. And
I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if they use it, but yeah, if I'm in trouble, I'm getting Devin Williams and James Karinchak out of my 2020 bullpen. Here's my left-handed setup, Brad Hand, which I'm kind of hesitant to put him up, but he did score high on this list here, so I'll put him as my left-handed setup. Right-handed setup is Edwin Diaz, I should say. Well, I don't know why I said Diaz. And then you got these 3 middle relief pitchers, and Jake McGee, Tyler Duffy, Victor Gonzalez. These 2 guys won the World Series for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then long relief, Mike Myers, who was among the league leaders in innings pitched among bullpen arms. Do you have a list for me here, Sean?
No, I don't have a list for you, but I just have one question, as in, is the omission of Nick Anderson intentional?
No, I mean, he didn't show up.
Okay.
He's nowhere to be found.
I do know he had a slight injury issue, so he didn't pitch as much. So that I was just wondering. Because that was one of the best bullpens in baseball, and there's not one there. Granted, the Tampa bullpen, for how great it is more of one of those, it's all of the pieces put together than just one great guy. I mean, Nick Anderson is great, don't get me wrong. But yeah, he only had 16 innings, but he was had a 1.0 WAR, which was 6th highest. So maybe he didn't have enough innings to qualify for your list. I believe that was probably it.
It could have been anything. I mean, I wasn't looking for certain players. I just, whatever the numbers spit it out, and this is the minimum requirements, then that's what I got. And Devin Williams was at the very top end.
Okay.
And so
I mean, he definitely would have been first. But you have a lot of the guys that I would have picked. Some names that you didn't mention that I like going into next year and had great years this year that were overshadowed. Freddie Peralta, the kind of swingman role for Milwaukee. Jonathan Hernandez is a name to keep an eye on. He kind of burst onto the scene. He didn't get too many saves, but he appeared in a lot of high leverage situations for the Texas Rangers. Trying to think here. What was that?
Peralta's top 10. Well, tie for 10th, but he's top 10.
Okay, gotcha. So right outside the top 10. You added Nick Anderson for me. Those are just a couple of guys that I didn't see on your list that I would have definitely included as, honorable mentions.
Hernandez does show up on this list, though.
Somewhere.
Maybe I dreamt him. I don't know. Let me type it up really quick. Hernandez.
And then maybe guys like Blake Trinan and Kenley Jansen, like kind of guys that, not on your list, but had pretty good years.
Yeah.
Oh, and Aroldis Chapman. How could we forget? Two not enough innings, probably.
No, You know what was wrong with Aroldis Chapman? Because Yankee fans were telling me this all the time. What was wrong with Aroldis Chapman was that he was constantly in spring training mode.
He was in spring training mode.
Spring training mode all the time, throwing 98-mile-per-hour fastballs, but he was in spring training mode.
Yeah, only 11.2 innings, so did not qualify for your list. Only a 0.3 WAR. But yeah, another guy that probably could be argued for top bullpen arm, but just didn't pitch enough this year.
Really quick. Yeah, he's asking. Ricky's asking about Holtz. There they are. Here's how the Holtz came out. There's Jake Diekman,
Sergio Romo.
Sergio Romo's on the list. So yeah,
Slider
Evan
machine.
Marshall for the White Sox angle here. Well, he didn't rank here, but he did rank on the best relief pitching category here, which is also tied for 10th with Freddie Peralta. So Evan Marshall, he stepped up big when Aaron Bummer got hurt. So
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so Holtz was accounted for, and the Holtz plus saves is right here. That's Brad Hand, Jake Diekman, and all them other guys. So yeah, man, I try to do everything here. I
enjoyed it. This was really cool to look at.
Oh no, there's more, man. I got one more.
You got one more.
Actually, 3 more rookie hitters.
Okay. Oh God, hit the rookies. Let's go. Rapid fire rookies. Hey, that's a segment of ours. We'll bring it back next year for sure.
Rapid fire rookies.
Yeah, this is the rapid fire rookies finale, and we got to talk about them.
All right, well, here it is. I know our guy Tyler, who's a big Pirates fan, mentioned how Ke'Bryan Hayes should have won the NL Rookie of the Year award, or he should be winning, and everybody laughed at him. But the numbers show, yeah, he might be right. I mean, he was a late bloomer. He showed up very late, so there's a little bit of a a sample size issue. But hey, minimum requirements for me was 50 plate appearances. I do not discriminate. Here you are, Ke'Bryan Hayes, torturing that ball. And there's our guy, Randy Arozarena, I always like to call him rice sand or sand rice, because arroz means rice and arena means sand. So what sounds better for you, sand rice or rice sand? Sand rice, right?
Sand rice. Ricey sand. Yeah. I don't know.
Sand rice is up there. Willie Castro, who I don't like, but he somehow showed up. Why? Because he shows up. Tigers just kidding. Alec Bohm, I should say. Yes. Alec Bohm, the third baseman from the Phillies, and Bobby Dalbec and Kyle Lewis, who got out to a really good start. But here's how I do it. Consider this Ke'Bryan Hayes guy my Platinum Rookie of the Year award winner. And for AL, I would go with Randy Arozarena, and for the NL, I would go with Alec Bohm. So there's that. Do you have a breakdown for me for rookies?
No? For rookies, I'm going to select Kyle Lewis in the AL. You show that he was probably the best, and all of his stuff came from counting stats. I think he was great. He was there all season. And if the plate appearances wasn't such a low number, his WRC plus rank would have been probably in that top 8. And then for National League, it's between Alec Bohm and Jake Cronenworth. But I'm going to go Alec Bohm.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I was kind of disappointed that I did not see Jake Cronenworth show up, but I think he might have been penalized for playing too many games.
Yeah.
There he is. Jake Cronenworth tied for 8th on this list here. But hey, like I've been telling you all this year, he saved me at second base. Again, justifying me not chasing after some of these other second basemen during the draft. Here are these rookie starting pitchers. 4x5 hero. You've mentioned this guy before, Tanner Hook.
Yes, only made 3 starts down the stretch. But he is this kind of tall, lanky sinker slider guy, but he's had a big edge in his development. He started throwing a splitter more often, which helps him neutralize against lefties. I like his chances. I think he's one of those good pitchability guys. The stuff might not be the best. The velocity kind of ticks up towards 95 sometimes, but a good kind of, I don't know the word I'm looking for here. Pitchability guy. I just said it. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. And the 4x5 heroes, this is just me accumulating these stats: wins, ERA, whip, strikeouts. We're missing saves, but who drafts a starting pitcher for saves, right? So this is a Roto League thing here.
Who are we, the Rays?
My guy Tony Gonsolin just missed the cut here, but we're gonna give it to Tanner Hoek, the 4x5 hero of 2020, and overall rookie starting pitcher of 2020. And again, this is the strikeouts, the F WAR, the FIP, the XFIP, the Sierra. These stats can be found on Fangraphs, so go check them out. And I was fearing that Keegan Aiken was going to win because I don't like any Orioles pitchers. But Tony Gonsolin, I like Tony Gonsolin. We talk about him all the time. The thing I don't like about him is that he plays for the Dodgers, and they're messing him up. It's like they're messing up with Julio Urias, and I don't know. It works. They won the championship, but I wish Tony Gonsolin could be a more traditional 5-6 inning pitch guy and not just, today Walker Buehler's pitching, so Tony Gonsolin's going to pitch on the back end. Screw that. Get him out there every 5 days for selfish reasons. So there it is. Any guy you want to talk about on this list, or you have someone?
I feel like Sixto Sanchez being so low is kind of maybe a possible oversight of only the 10 inning minimum. If you raise that to probably 25, he ranks better. So much like Kyle Lewis, I think he's a guy who is probably one of the better rookie starting pitchers from 2020.
There you go. All right. Well, Justice Schifffield, who shows up as well. He's been pitching from the very beginning, and he shows up really high for some ungodly reason. So there you go. Maybe
he wasn't terrible. He had an okay season. Right. He improved, yeah. which is it's a pretty low bar for him to improve upon, but he improved.
All right, and finally we finished this spreadsheet with the 2020 best rookie relief pitchers. There's the holds and saves, which Ricky mentioned. Do you do holds? Yes, I do. As you can see, I only did top 5 for these rookies. Man, screw them. Make it for next year, and I'll do the top 10 for you guys. But I didn't realize Tyler Rogers was a rookie. I know his brother has been in the league forever.
I was going to say, is Stephon Crichton technically a rookie?
Hey, whatever Fangraphs says, that's what I want.
Oh, okay. So they considered him in 2019. He appeared in 28 games with 30 innings. So we might need to message Fangraphs about that.
Maybe no. Well, I think you need 50.
Is it 50?
I think that's the problem there. But anyway,
50 innings or 30 games or something like that, I think.
Yeah. So there's holds and saves, and keep that in mind. Here's our 4x5 hero for relief pitchers, which is saves, ERA, whip, strikeouts, right? Because
basically Devin Williams runs the show again.
Yeah, I mean, he not just runs, he dominates. Everybody else is just looking up to him because he's their hero. And the more advanced stats, I mean, he killed it among the veterans. He's going to kill it among the – it's not even fair. Yeah. There's James Karinchak. Any other season, James Karinchak would have been the darling of this list. But Devin Williams just coming out of nowhere seemingly. And that's the spreadsheets, man. Hope everybody enjoyed them.
I love it. Now, I'm springing this on you kind of at the last second, but I know you love your Punch and Judy hitters, right?
No, I don't.
Yes, you love Punch and Judy hitters. So I figured I would get an award named just for you, Felipe. And these 3 guys, and I want your thoughts on who was the best Punch and Judy hitter. And these 3 guys had the highest expecting batting average while having some of the lowest average exit velocity numbers and hard hit numbers in the entire league. Now, the one with the highest expected batting average had a average exit velocity of 86.2, and that was Jose Iglesias, who posted the highest expected batting average in all of baseball. He had a 358 XBA. Nobody even came close, not even the GOAT Juan Soto. Now, the next 2 guys hit the ball slightly softer than Jose Iglesias, which is what we all love to see, and that is David Fletcher. He had an 84.7 average exit velocity, but a 292 XBA. And this is a guy who back-to-back years has posted XBAs over 290. So you don't have to always hit the ball hard to get base hits. And then third, my favorite, and your own White Sox prodigy, Nick Madrigal, had a 304 XBA and only an 84 mile per hour exit velocity. So that and he had exactly 0 barrels in 96 batted balls. He barreled up 0 of them, meaning none of them were hit 95 miles per hour at a launch angle between, I think, 12 and 25 degrees. So exactly 0. It is up to you, Felipe. I shall let you choose who the best Punch and Judy was. I know that's your favorite kind of hitter.
What am I doing here? Am I
just pick which one you like the most?
I guess Nick Madrigal by default.
Yay! Best Punch and Judy hitter. Congratulations, Nick Madrigal. Or as Blake Snow would call you, slapdick prospect.
Locally, Jake Cronenworth, right? Was that the slapdick prospect?
No. Xavier Edwards was the one who went from San Diego to Tampa Bay.
All right, I'm putting some comments here. Worst player of 2020 draft prep. And Nick Madrigal is. So I was going to mention this.
Slappy.
No. Listen to this, man. So locally here on the radio, the score 670. I think they're still affiliated with CBS Sports. Lawrence Holmes was talking about how he was watching Nick Madrigal in spring training or something like that, or watched him last year or whatever. And he came up with the nickname Slappy. So that's
So
what I call him
perfect.
too. It's perfect for him. Yeah. And that's why I'm kind of like, ugh, Nick Madrigal. There's things to like about Nick Madrigal, and then there's a lot more things that I don't like about Nick Madrigal. But I'm hoping that what people are telling me is that he'll start lining the ball out and start hitting the ball on a rope. And he showed some promise this past year, but man, I don't know.
I mean, he had a 25% line drive percentage. That's awesome.
All right.
That's cool. That's a cool thing.
All right. So there's that. Was there anything else you wanted to discuss?
No,
here?
that was the last one I wanted to spring up on you because I just know that you love punch and Judy hitters.
Do you have the real awards up? And let's get the people something else to talk about here. Can you do you still have those up or no?
Yeah, I have the MLB article. I don't have them like on a list or anything. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Let's really. I have no idea. I have not seen, because I've been in this world of the spreadsheet, so I don't even know who's really nominated for real.
For Gold Gloves at first base, you had Evan White and Anthony Rizzo. Second base, Cesar Hernandez and Colton Wong. Shortstop, J.P. Crawford and Javier Baez. Third base, converted catcher, I think this is the most impressive Gold Glove for me, is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who appeared both on your list and my list as one of the top third basemen. So congratulations to him. Nolan Arenado, pass. Alex Gordon, who was actually a terrible defensively in 2020, but it was his retirement year. And like we said, the Gold Glove is more of a popularity contest. And I think this one was like, have one for the road, Alex. This was his road Gold Glove. Some people have road beers. Alex Gordon gets a road Gold Glove as he walks out of Kauffman Stadium for the last time. And that National League winner was Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah, you mentioned
AL winner, Luis Robert. National League, Trent Grisham, which is ironic as he was mainly traded out of Milwaukee after his big playoff blunder in the National League wild card in 2019 in right field. And then right field, as we go and talk about it, Joey Gallo led the league, led all outfielders in DRS. He won for the American League, and Mookie Betts in right field. And then the catchers, Roberto Perez and Tucker Barnhart.
Yay! All right. Hey, I'm not a lost cause here, you guys. Some of those players were on my list, so that's pretty awesome. Let's go. What do we have? What traditionally speaking, what's the
Silver Slugger?
No, let's skip that.
Okay.
I think we talked about enough about that. Let's go with the individual awards now. Starting with managers, if you have that up there or whatever.
Managers, it was right here. That's Rookie of the Year. I'm not sure if they have it up on. Oh, here we go. Kevin Cash, Charlie Montoyo, and Rick Renteria, which is awkward seeing as he's no longer there. For the American League and the National League, he was there. It was Tingler, Mattingly, and David Ross.
Ew. All right. Are we gonna predict who's gonna win, or should we just do who we would vote for?
Let's just do who we would vote for.
All right. So for me, I have Kevin Cash. I'm doing a makeshift spreadsheet, so I want to see how right we are here. So I'm gonna go with Kevin Cash in the American League and David Ross in the National League. Who do you have?
I'm going Kevin Cash in the American League. I believe that one's too easy. In National League, I'm going to go Jace Tingler, the first-time manager. That Padres team did great, and he kept the ship steady, which is exactly what you want a manager to do.
All right, that's good. What's next on the docket there?
MVP.
Oh, all right. Who are the nominees?
Mookie Betts in the National League. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Manny Machado. I'm going to pick Freddie Freeman. I think that's an easy one. And then in the American League, Jose Abreu, DJ LeMahieu, and Jose Ramirez. And Jose Ramirez is my pick.
All righty.
And then Cy Young, I think we did, correct?
Yeah, technically we did. No, but you know what? That was based on our list there that I created. Let's go with the real. But let me do my picks really quick.
Okay.
I want to be different. I think I want to get Mookie Betts the NL MVP, and I want to be a big fat homer about this. I'm going to go with Jose Abreu.
Okay.
Ricky has convinced me, and shame on me for not being a bigger White Sox fan. I am wearing my Cubs hat though, so maybe that's part of the problem. But I'm going to go with Jose Abreu there, and hopefully he years of being with terrible White Sox teams finally pay off big time for him. What's next there?
Cy Young.
Let's go with the Cy Young Award winners. Who do
American League finalists Shane Bieber, Kenta Maeda, and Hyunjin Ryu. I'm pretty sure Shane Bieber is going to win this unanimously, and it's not going to even be close. I think that's a 30-0-0, 31st place votes. That's it. And that's who I would pick as well, because I am a sane human being.
Yeah, same thing on this one. What about the National League?
National League, Trevor Bauer, Yu Darvish, and Jacob deGrom. My heart says Jacob deGrom. My head says Trevor Bauer.
Yeah,
Jacob deGrom is my vote.
Jacob deGrom is your vote. Shit, I don't even know what we're doing anymore. I know we were talking about who we would vote for, but yeah, I think, like I said earlier, yes, I would vote for Jacob deGrom, but I think. I'm sorry. You said Jacob deGrom as well, right?
Yes.
But I think we're in agreement an acquiescence that there's a really good chance, a very good chance. I would put money on it that Trevor Bauer would win this thing.
I agree.
All right. And what's the last one? Is it Rookie of the Year now, or?
Rookie of the Year finalists for American League: Christian Javier, Kyle Lewis, and Luis Robert.
Ooh.
I think it's Kyle. I think Javier came up too late. Kyle Lewis, I think, is the easy pick here.
I'm going with Luis Robert. If I had a vote, I would vote for Luis Robert, and I'm hoping he wins. That again, big time. I am, contrary to popular belief, I could be a big homer when I have to be, but I am hoping that Luis Robert gets it, even though he did struggle late in the year. But hopefully, the things that he did at the beginning and his defensive stuff that he does. I mean, he plays 3 outfield positions for the White Sox, man. That has to account for something. And who's in the National League over there?
National League for Rookie of the Year is Jake Cronenworth, Devin Williams, and Alec Boehm.
Who'd you got?
I think it's going to be Devin Williams.
That is a murderer's row.
They're all deserving. I mean, Devin Williams was historically good, and that is kind of what makes me lean towards him.
All right. I would go with Jake Cronenworth because he saved my fantasy baseball season. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And feel free over there, if you're still on the Facebook listening, feel free to tell us who you would vote for and who you think is going to win. Sean, you can't see it. I'm not sharing it because it's not very well formatted, but I just went with our picks as to who we would vote for. So we'll see how true the rest of the baseball writers are to our kind of thinking here. And that's pretty much it. That's all we had for you guys. Really quick, Sean, you mentioned it before. We do have other podcasts in the Life Group Network. Dong City is on tomorrow night, and followed by the Step Back on Wednesday night, which I will be appearing as we're going to be previewing the 2020 NBA Draft. I guarantee you there will be a spreadsheet that I will be displaying throughout the show. So if you like the spreadsheets I put up here, go follow us on Ball is Life, our group's basketball group, our network of basketball. Our network's basketball group is at Ball is Life, so join us there. And yes, I will be adding a link to the Facebook chat that is going on here. Tuesdays and Fridays is usually the Audible over at Football Life, where Matt and Randy are going to break down and preview the NFL's action for, what is it, week 10 now? Are we in week 10? Coming up next week, I believe.
Yes.
And
something like that.
And every Sunday, usually not in the afternoon, but every Sunday morning, we start your Life Group podcast right here at Baseball Life with a Total Basis podcast with Sean and I. Sean, any last words from you?
I will see you next week, bud. And good luck on the Step Back. It's we had, during your absence, I had Jacob on the show, and it was a lot of fun. So, and they do a great job over there. It's absolutely fantastic show. And I know you're going to hit them with the knowledge and bring the spreadsheets like you always do.
Just to hype it up a little bit more, I am excited. I've been talking to those guys behind the scenes, and they look. I already showed them a little bit of my spreadsheet, and they're excited, and they all have a little bit of something that they're gonna bring to the table. You've seen Leon and Jacob sharing scouting videos of these upcoming prospects. So it's gonna be a good one. I am excited. I can't wait, and I strongly urge, if you guys are a big, it's funny, we talk about prospects here. I'll be talking about prospects over there. If you guys are excited about the NBA draft, just like I am, and whatnot, please join us there and give us a view and a follow. It's Sean. It's literally the only basketball podcast I listen to on a regular basis. Jacob and Leon's podcast, and they're going to go every other week because of the off season. But we might do something for the NBA draft. We haven't decided what we're going to do, but we might do something. So check us out over there. And that's all I have for you this week. For Sean, I am Felipe. Catch us next week, and make sure you follow us on Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, you name it. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you. Bye.